Grab your beverages and turn up your interweb. Solving the world's problems 12 ounces at a time. It's Dudes and Beer. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 302 of the Dudes and Beer podcast. Chris Jordan, your host here, coming at you live from Austin, Texas tonight. Please do not forget, our podcast is now officially brought to you by podcastcadet.com. If you're a fan of podcasting like I am, do not hesitate to stop on by podcastcadet.com today. They're what you're looking for, everything from beginners to those who are already in the podcasting realm. They provide one-on-one personalized consultation for your needs, whether you're a beginner not knowing how to go through and hook up your stuff, whether you're somebody who has had a show for years and just trying to get over a hump, reach a new audience, maybe rebrand your show, and want an audit done. That is specifically what they do. Stop on by podcastcadet.com today. Full disclosure, I am the owner. But we are there to help you. Podcastcadet.com is the website. Dudes20 is the code that you want to use to save 20% off of your entire cart while you were there. While you're also there, make sure to stop on by the Dudes and Beer store and check out the books On the Trail of the Nephilim, the trilogy by our great guest tonight, L.A. Marzulli. I am so happy to have him on. Speaking of guests and books, we have a whole crop of guest books. I mean, of course, I've read through Incident at Devil's Den a couple times and just got Devil's Den: The Reckoning. Like I typically do whenever I get books, I sit down and read the introduction, then I set them aside until it comes time to really dig deep into that when I have time to dig into the meat. And actively got a phone call today from Terry Lovelace, the author. So I was like, I guess I really need to dig into the meat of Devil's Den: The Reckoning as soon as possible. Terry Lovelace has some fantastic first degree accounts, personal accounts of alien contact, things like that. So go by, check those out. Also, big shout out to Ryan Sprague from Somewhere in the Skies. If you have not checked out his show, it is absolutely fantastic. I got my autographed copy sent to me just before Christmas. It arrived here, I want to say Christmas Eve. Ryan, thank you so much. Stop on by and check out his show, folks. He's good friends with our friend and guest, Mike DeMonte, and I've followed his show as well as Shannon LeGros for the last little bit. And, man, talk about some fantastic guests, some fantastic content. Stop on by and check those guys out. Our guest this evening, author of On the Trail of the Nephilim, L.A. Marzulli. How are you doing today, sir? Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. I have been excited about this since I spoke with your publicist over at LITM. It's been so fantastic to get to really dig into some of your work, especially the Watcher series. I have crammed about 6 hours of that down my throat in the last 2 days in preparation for this interview, and it has been fantastic to sit there and just ingest knowledge en masse. It is one of my favorite things to do, to just sit back with my tablet in hand, a couple of materials that I know are going to be reference materials. In this case, the Book of Enoch and the Bible were my two reference materials, as I not only read along with you, but watched along during the Watchers series. So for those who may not be familiar in our audience, let's give them a quick primer real quick of who you are, what you do, and how you came to be involved, nay, mission critical on the Nephilim. Oh, wow. Mm. Sure. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow. Yeah, there and what's interesting, LA, is that there is a lot of material out there, and a lot of course, the history of the Nephilim has been obfuscated. Most of that was actually due, oddly enough, not even to the Catholic Church. It was due to the second century A.D. in Jerusalem, whenever they decided on the actual books of biblical law and what their canon was supposed to be for religious Judaism. And then, of course, that is what the Catholic Church based the Old Testament off of. So it's interesting to see how even one of the cultures that followed this teaching started sweeping it aside and started moving it aside. And even as a former Catholic seminarian myself, my journey is very much similar to yours, apparently, where I spent years in youth ministry myself, and turning on those not necessarily religious lights, but spiritual lights for people, and helping them understand how to carry a message into the rest of their life on a daily basis, not just within four walls and a roof on a Sunday with people of like mind. So, and when you're doing that, topics like this come up, things like this come up, and you have to be willing to explore them. And it's not often that we get, quote, religious on this show, but we definitely get spiritual on this show, and we definitely get deep when it comes to topics like this. And like I said, I was armed with my texts as I was reading and watching along. And of course, I want to bring up the first appearance of the Nephilim in the Bible as we know it, where most people may have possibly seen it. Genesis 6:4, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. That is the first reference, is when we hear them being called the sons of God. Well, not necessarily the sons of God, but also at a time when the sons of God came onto the earth and made children with men. So that obviously leads down a few rabbit holes in modern lore and modern disclosure thinking when you're talking about hybrids, things like that. So let's kind of start cracking the nut a little bit about the Nephilim, who they are, what the history is of them, and what they're really all about. Yes. Yeah, it just said that she kept company with it and talked with it. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. Yes. Which, I mean, yeah, and the loose translation, I know we lost you there a little bit, but the loose translation of B'nai Nephilim is basically sons of the fallen. Correct? Something along those lines? Yep. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Well, now what's interesting though, you bring up this concept of trickster, and something that I have always found interesting, especially whenever you start talking angelic presence, is the angelic relationship between God and man in the Bible, as well as other texts where they are mentioned in Hebrew tradition, Arabic tradition, things like that. And a lot of that is, of course, entangled in death. A lot of that is, of course, entangled in being the messenger of things that are quite often the portents of something not so great. And specifically when you're talking about Lucifer, who, of course, we know was an angel, bearer of light, is the name in Latin. Fallen angel becomes Satan, leader of the horde and all that business. And, of course, the serpent of which you're speaking in the Garden of Eden. But what's curious is that, yes, God, the God in the Garden of Eden says, for generations, for all generations, your children will be at war with each other. But that's the only real admonishment that he gets. Aside from that, it's like, what are you doing, dude? And then you can even go into Job, where quite literally God is sitting there with his angels going like, look at Job, man. Like, he's not even one of my people. Look at him. Look at how much he loves me and adores me. And up pops Satan in the heavenly court. Like, hey, oh yeah, you think he loves you, huh? And it's so interesting to go through and read these. Even the test of Christ in the desert is so polite. You know? almost a handshake and a tilt of the hat and just going, yep, just making sure, buddy. So it's interesting to me, the way that this cast down demon is almost, like you said, deified on this planet, but at the same time, completely mixed up in all of it. Mm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Sure, sure. It's and yeah, and definitely a quote normalization to the narrative. You still Sorry about that. I think we were losing you. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. 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 And we've had guests on this show, of course, just to wrap this topic in a nutshell real quick. We've had guests come on and talk about the virus, things like that. My audience knows I am a man of common sense. I am all for a vaccine. I think 5 months is a little too short of a window to properly test a vaccine. I don't think that there's any kind of actual, quote, science there as far as sample size being used. I think it's really odd that the rate of the actual rate of side effect is the same chance of getting COVID. So your chances of having a fatal side effect from this vaccine are the exact same almost as catching the virus. But it's it's just strange to see all these things line up. It was strange to see, like we've said with Dr. John Hall, not necessarily that China weaponized a virus or put a virus out to people, but whenever it saw that an outbreak was occurring, it sure as heck didn't do anything to halt it or stop it. The WHO didn't do a whole lot to go and investigate why they didn't stop it. And even whenever you look at like 2 episodes ago in episode 300, we had Mitchell Gerber on, who is a investigative reporter, UN whistleblower, with 2 UN doctors that were sent to China to report on the quote-unquote state-sanctioned organ harvesting of Uyghurs and those practicing Falun Gong. And this was just a nasty rumor. And they went and investigated and then came back to the UN and said, this is no nasty rumor. So you really have to wonder, after the UN says, hey, doctors, go investigate. Is this true? And they come back and say, yes, it's true. How does China sit on the UN Civil Rights Panel? How does that work? That they get to sit on the Human Rights Panel, Human and Civil Rights Panel. It's like, wow. Seems like that's a pretty big and blatant violation of human and civil rights. But once again, it's a situation of follow the money. And oddly enough, as is the situation with the Nephilim giants, the mound builders, things like that here in America, whenever you start going through archives and history, you find all kinds of articles about giant species being found, bones of giants being found, people 11, 10, 12 feet tall. And this is across the globe, even as close to home as Arizona. And it's wild to know that some of these finds were actively verified by the Smithsonian at one point, and now you can't even find reference to them at the Smithsonian. You can find the articles written by the Smithsonian about them, but you aren't going to find the bones at the Smithsonian, folks. They're crated up, being guarded by, quote, top men. As Indiana Jones was told, very much the same situation, and it's really, really strange. Let's start getting into that just a little bit. Some of the, like you were saying, straight obfuscation of the existence of giants on this earth and what would be known in the time of biblical times as the Nephilim. Yeah. Wow. And the films are absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I have been engrossing myself in them over the last few days, with Amazon gift cards. And if you want to check it out, folks, there is some fantastic stuff in there. I know I have made it through to number 6 out of 10, correct? And I've yet to hit the new material that you're talking about. But I did happen to pull up, just to bridge the gap here, since you're talking about ancient giant races in America, which was, of course, springboarded off of me talking about the finds in Arizona, things like that. But right here, I have it up on screen from Gaia. Giant human skeletons found buried in mounds across North America. This came out all of a few days ago. This was December 7th. I do not know how this slipped my radar, but this was the second part of our conversation this evening, was the mound builders of North America and some of the mysteries behind that, because that is something that, once again, is across America. And like this article is saying, obvious strange things there surrounding that. So let's get into that in this last part of the episode here. Oh, wow. Oh, nice. Done right here. What's it sound like I do? That's exactly what I do. My poor wife, she's the one that gets to watch it with me. She woke up earlier from a nap with the kid and was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's my guest." And it was actually, I sometimes like it whenever she walks in and knows that I'm not doing guest prep. Just kind of goes, "Ooh, this is interesting." So yeah, this was one of those moments, specifically when it came to the skulls in Peru, things like that. Absolutely fascinating information to see that obvious genetic change with people going on right there. So, sure, sure. Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 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 No worries, my friend. Yeah. Yeah, these people who for tens of thousands of years have maintained an oral tradition have just forgotten about this major geologic accomplishment. We forgot about this thing that took our people 200 years to create. Totally spaced on it. Forgot about it. Know how to make some good biltong, though. Like, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Most definitely. Please do hold the line while we close things out. I want to thank you so much for coming on, sharing this information. One last time, tell everybody where they can go to watch the films, get the books. I mean, of course, they can go to the Dudes and Beer website, to the store, dudesandbeer.com/store, to buy the books, all that kind of stuff. They can go there to see the videos on our video page from your YouTube. But where can they go to see everything, buy everything? One last time for shameless self-promotion. Well, please do hold the line while we close things out. Make sure to go on by that website, folks, lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net as well, for all the great content. I love having him on. I cannot wait to have him on again to talk about this topic more and so many other things. While you're online checking everything out, please make sure to go on by dudesandbeer.com. That's where you can find the Knowledge Vault. That's where you can find all the episodes. Great things in the Knowledge Vault. We're adding some new documents in there. Tons of declassified stuff. WikiLeaks just did a major dump if you have a whole server to put things on. Till next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and if you can't be good at it. We'll talk to you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dudes and Beer Podcast. To listen to our audio streams or chat with us live, download the official Dudes and Beer app for Android and iDevices.
Being
available
rebuilt.
on Google Play and iTunes markets. For more episodes, content, and information, visit us online at dudesandbeer.com. You can also find our episodes on Breach.tv, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast service. Dudes and Beer is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more about our sponsors and other podcasts on this network, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.
You still there? Thank you so much for your time tonight. I greatly appreciate it despite your illness. I would love to have you on again and again and again to talk about this topic and so much more, man. Like I said, I have been like glued to the TV all day watching things. And I can't wait to go and just sprawl my mind through more of your stuff. I can't wait until my books get here. All that good stuff. So my airwaves are yours, man. Anytime you want to come on, anytime you have some new discoveries or something that you want to come on and shamelessly promote, you just let me know. You too. Absolutely. I'll be sharing a link to you with all this stuff tomorrow and everything else. All right. Rest easy. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.